Well, let's summarize the trades that have gone down so far as Cam Rogers is here alongside Harris Rubenstein. Let's take a look at this Axford deal. You thought it was a good one.
That was a good one. Again, like a lot of these trades that we've seen, they haven't been for elite relievers, but a lot of these teams, whether it's the Dodgers or the Diamondbacks or the Phillies or whatever, they're trying to save their truly elite arms for the postseason. And Axford, he's 4.41 ERA. He's nothing really to call home about. He's an innings eater.
All right, Diekman from the Rangers on over to the Arizona Diamondbacks, Harris.
I like this a lot. I like this. I mean, look, for a guy to have only given up 2 home runs so far this year in Texas, for him to be going to Arizona is a very good sign. It's a good spot for him. I think he's going to be a very good reliever for them going forward. Look, if you're in the postseason, it's the 8th inning, 9th inning, and here comes Jake Diekman throwing 100 miles an hour fastballs, sidearm. That's tough to get a grip on, so he should be a good player for them to move around in the postseason.
Chris Archer going to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I love it for both sides. I mean, look, the Pittsburgh Pirates, they have a lot of young talent coming up over the next couple of years. They have a very good bullpen as well. And I think with Tyler Glasnow, they just finally saw a guy who just wasn't going to take the next step as a starting pitcher. And they needed another elite starter. They already have Jameson Taillon, who's taken a good step this year. And I think Chris Archer is going to be, the ace in the hole that this Pirates team needs going forward. And hell, maybe they, if the whole team falls apart, maybe next year they trade Chris Archer at the deadline as well with 2 years of control. They won't get the same package back, but the Pirates need to make a run. They need to take a chance. And with Archer and Taillon and Marte, Polanco, a lot of good young players on that team as well, maybe they make a run at a big-time free agent this offseason to try to make a World Series run of the next couple of years.
All right, we got the Aaron Loup deal as well. He's going to the Philadelphia Phillies.
Again, innings eater. Phillies need to save their great relievers for the postseason. Loup is just going to come in, eat some innings, give them all some help as we get into the September roster expansion. Fine trade for the Phillies. Didn't give up too much for him.
Kevin Gozman going to the Atlanta Braves. Still waiting on the details there for Baltimore.
Still waiting on the details. And do you know what? It kind of sounds like, the Orioles might not be giving out the details of this trade because maybe they're working something out for Jonathan Schoop. And it sounds like Dan Duquette's a little bit busy right now. But with what the Braves are getting in Gausman, I mean, I know that he has not been very good over the past couple of years. I get it. But look, if you're the Braves, you get a 27-year-old former top 5 pick who has major league stuff and might just need a new start. And if you're the Braves, with how kind of shaky your starting rotation's been, Teheran hasn't been great, and Fultonowicz has been pretty good, but nothing elite. I think bringing in Kevin Gausman, having him be your number 3 or even your number 4, is a very good addition. I just hope they didn't overpay too much for him.
Well, Dozier's market was heating up earlier today, and now he's headed to the Los Angeles Dodgers.
And I like this a lot. I think that for the Dodgers, they needed to get another infielder because they've dealt with so many injuries. And I think, they just can't rely on all these random depth guys to come in and fill in these spots. I think Dozier can play a really good second base still. He's going to be a good utility bat for them going into this postseason. And I also think as well for Brian Dozier, it's like he's been one of the better hitters in baseball, at least at second base, over the past couple of years. He's great against lefty pitching as well. So if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, you are quite happy to get someone like Brian Dozier for what really was, at the end of the day, not too crazy of a package.
All right, so there you go. That's a rundown with the Dozier deal. How about the Cubs and Kinsler? Poor Washington.
Why?
I don't know what they're doing.
Why? Also, I have to mention this. Apparently, they asked Brandon Kinsler. He thought it was a joke when they told him he was getting traded.
Seriously.
They thought it was a joke. Why would they trade? Of all the players on this team to trade, why would you trade Brandon Kinsler for John Romero? Why? Like, it makes no sense at all. Like, why trade away one of the better relievers on your team for a nobody prospect to an NL competitor? You're 52 and 53. You're like 6 games back of the NL East,
right,
and you're trading away relievers? I just don't get it. I have no idea why the Nationals made this move.
Questionable deal there for the Washington Nationals. Let's take a look at the next trade on the board. Wilson Ramos going to Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, getting a player to be named later, or cash.
I like this move for the Phillies. I think once he comes back in the middle of August, he's going to add a good amount of veteran leadership to this locker room, especially the catcher spot. I think him and Jake Arrieta are going to have some good chemistry. And I also think that him with the rest of these young pitchers are going to develop a nice repertoire as well. So Wilson Ramos to the Phillies, I like it a lot. He's going to be a good player for them, hopefully, when they make it to the playoffs.
All right, so there you go. How about Cameron Maybin? This came through at the beginning of the program. He's going to the Seattle Mariners, Harris.
Again, like I mentioned before, he's going to do the same thing for the Mariners that he did for the Astros. He is going to end up being a good 4th or 5th utility outfielder. He'll steal a little, he'll hit a little, he'll field a little. He'll be a good player for them to go into the playoffs with, just like he was with the Astros last year.
And how about this? The Reds do not trade Matt Harvey, folks. Breaking news.
You know what? I can't blame them too much because I know that they tried. They tried really, really hard to trade Matt Harvey, and it just seemed like no one was interested. And honestly, who would be? Like, why
the market was very, very
Why
thin.
would you trade for Matt Harvey if you're a playoff team? Like, literally, what is the best that's going to happen? Is he going to all of a sudden become the Dark Knight again? No. He's going to probably go into the playoffs as your 4th or 5th pitcher. If you're forced to pitch him in a deciding elimination game, you're going to get killed. I don't want anything to do with Matt Harvey in the playoffs. I understand why they didn't trade him.
You know what the theme has been for the Baltimore Orioles so far this
Up.
season? Fire sale. We got another one. The Orioles have traded Jonathan Schoop to the Milwaukee Brewers, a very integral part of that infield for Baltimore. Now out of there. So Manny Machado gone, Gozman gone, Schoop gone. Dylan Bundy seems like he is safe, but still, Baltimore, unbelievable. They have been active. And this is a big-time deal.
It is a big-time deal. Now, Schoop hasn't been that good this year in kind of retrospect to what he usually is. I mean, he's hitting .244 this year. His OPS is down over 100 points from what it usually is. 17 home runs and 40 RBIs. I mean, last year, he was a freaking monster. I mean, 293, 32 homers, and 105 RBIs. He was a monster for the Orioles. And again, I think the Brewers are looking at Schoop saying, you know, let's give up a lot for a guy that we have control for. Let's continue to move on with this good team. We finally have a legitimate second baseman that isn't Travis Shaw. I just wonder, like, where are they going to play everybody? Like, Eric Thames still has to play. He usually played first base. You can't play Travis Shaw at third base because here comes Mike Moustakas.
Right.
Like, who's going to play where?
But
maybe they traded Travis Shaw. I don't know. Like, it's very interesting about where they're going to put everyone in the infield.
Well, the Milwaukee Brewers are in a very interesting situation. They have a lot of moving pieces as we stand, and now Jonathan Schoop is included in that process. So that just came through the wires. Breaking news here on Chat Sports. The Orioles made so many moves, and at one point you were wondering just how far would Baltimore go in terms of selling their team. And it was quite obvious that it was a strategic decision by them to just absolutely fire sale it up.
Yeah, blow it up. And look, for what the Orioles are getting for Gozman and O'Day, I mean, this is a decent package. So let's go through a couple of these guys and kind of break down what they're going to end up getting in terms of overall prospects. So they get, Brian Cumberland from the Atlanta Braves, nice prospect, good catching prospect. I mean, right now for the Orioles, they have what? Caleb Joseph playing catcher. Matt Wieters left, right?
Wieters is gone.
Wieters obviously
long gone.
You got a couple other good players as well. Look, you can get 4 prospects for a pitcher currently with a 5.8 ERA and Darren O'Day, who I'm pretty sure hasn't pitched at all this season, or when he has pitched, he's been a complete disaster. So overall, I like what the Braves were able to give up for Kevin Gozman. I like what the Orioles were able to get back. It's a good deal for both sides. Good for the Orioles for blowing it up. You can never play the middle.
Hey, if you're going to do it, do it. And
exactly.
They did it.
Never play the middle at all. Always go for the throat. Either trade away everyone or go for a title.
All right, let's go to the details now for the Jonathan Schoop trade that went down and came through in terms of news right after the deadline. The Brewers getting Schoop. There's the package there for the Baltimore Orioles. Luis Ortiz, right-handed pitcher. Gene Carmona as well. Jonathan Villar.
Yeah, so Luis Ortiz, number 7 overall prospect in the Milwaukee Brewers system, right-handed pitcher, former first-round pick only a couple of years ago in 2014. I believe they actually got him a couple of years ago in a separate trade with the Texas Rangers. And also Jonathan Villar, who's going the other way to the Orioles, is just someone who can eat up some innings for the Orioles because they need someone to actually play some baseball. But Villar is kind of switched between second base and shortstop this year. But it seems, Cam, that now that Jonathan Schoop is part of the Milwaukee Brewers, Travis Shaw is going to play shortstop.
Wait,
wow.
what?
Now, I'm no, I don't judge. I'm not a judge, but Travis Shaw is a large man. Travis Shaw is 6'4". Travis Shaw is no tiny man. He is 6'4", I want to say 230. That is a very, very large, thick man playing shortstop for the Milwaukee Brewers. That's a huge, huge infield. That's a big infield. Eric Thames, Jonathan Schoop, Travis Shaw, and Mike Moustakas. I don't know if the Milwaukee Brewers are actually going to win, the World Series, but they might win the weightlifting contest for the MLB. That is a massive infield. Go Brewers. Hit a bunch of homers. This would be great.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. That has been our exclusive coverage here on Chat Sports of the MLB trade deadline. We're signing off here, but be sure to continue the conversation on Twitter. Hit me up at Mr. Rogers99. Hit him up and Sportstein. For Harris Rubenstein, I am Cam Rogers. We'll see you guys next time.